So we're here to talk through this hexagonal battleships puzzle by Takeya Saikachi that's themed triple groups for these three clues that work together in these spaces, as well as it looks like three C's in symmetric positions in the center of the grid. Every time I work through one of these puzzles, I will, after doing a gimme row like this, a 0 on a diagonal, I'll try to go around the grid and just mark mentally where are more or less constrained spaces, particularly the more constrained spaces. So this 4 diagonal, for instance, has 2 degrees of freedom. This 4 has 2 degrees of freedom left to it. So again, 2 more C's to place, 4 ships to place. This has 3 ships to place with 2 degrees of freedom. The thing that should draw your eye most is that 5, and this is the break-in for the puzzle is definitely looking at this. We've got 6 cells with 1 degree of freedom to go. The longest ship is 4 units long, so if I'm filling this up, I have to at least take these extremes, or it's never going to work. And it also is sitting in the center of a triple group, and so oftentimes when you're thinking about these, the breakdown of this, which could be 1 plus 4 or 2 plus 3, is going to be key. And my eye is seeing that the 2 plus 3 is really going to cause issues at the top. So here's an example of 2 plus 3. There are no ships that are coming upwards, and so that everything's horizontal is kind of a column elimination rule in general. And that's true even if I take this pattern. So this is not a 2 plus 3, this is a 1 plus 4. That means either the 4 is on the left or the 4 is on the far right. And that single cell is going to be reached by a cell coming up or down. This would work on a square grid too, that, this kind of thinking. And so seeing this breakdown is quite helpful. It lets us mark off all of these cells. It also actually lets us mark off this cell and this cell. And again, if I use those, I now can't take this cell in this top column. So that's what's new for the hexagonal grid, is getting these two eliminations on the left and right. What you should then see from that is now actually these ones themselves now are going to have to work in concert. So we will have to take where we've got just 2 options left on both sides. This will be a 3-unit ship coming up and down paired with a 4-unit ship in. So that's kind of all we can probably do looking at the space. But I've now marked off 2 C's in one of the groups I first marked as a constrained row. So I'm going to come right away back to that. I've now marked in this ship and 2 C's and what I marked down here as a constrained row, and so I'm coming right back to that. I haven't yet touched this one over here, but what I have done is put a lot in this triple group near this 3. And so how do I complete this 3 now? I can take one more ship down here. So that's 1, 2, 3 being forced. This can't be part of a 4-cell ship, and this has to be marked off, and that now means this is the forced 3, this is the forced 4, putting these around, and these clues are all fulfilled. This 1 is fulfilled. I still want to think more about down here. So this 1 is taking this cell or this cell, and this 3 is taking this cell or this cell. Notice across these 2 options, this cell can never be taken, so I have to take this one. And how else is this going to go? So I'm either getting a 3-unit ship down here or a 2-unit ship. So this may be where it's helpful to look at the inventory of ships and see I actually have already used 2 2s and 1 3, so I need 1 more 2 and 1 more 3. And I bet actually if I look back at this 4-unit row, that's where the secret's going to sit. And why is that? Got 1 more ship to place, sorry, 1 more C to place, and that's either here or here, but notice what that's going to mean. I will always put a 2-unit ship in this direction with a singleton there, or I'm going to put a 2-unit ship up here with a C right down here. And so that would be the 3rd 2-unit ship. And so I can't take this, I can't put 4 2-unit ships in this grid. So this comes across as the last 3-unit ship, puts in this as the last 2-unit ship. I now have actually fulfilled all the outside clues, and I'm really just working with the ship inventory. So I need 4 singletons, and this one now is forced to be a singleton. That's a 2nd, that's a 3rd, that's a 4th, and we're through to the end of this puzzle. So really nice use of the external clues, particularly the key forcing of this 5, but how that interacts with the 4, the 3, and this 4, and including this neat deduction of how the last 2-unit ship, while we didn't know much about this 4 column, the last 2-unit ship will sit along it, and that forces the bottom. So good Wednesday puzzle. Thanks to Kaya for writing in. Hopefully those who watch this video, you got some sense of how to look at and notate Battleships puzzles, whether on a hex grid or a square grid, to make quick headway of them. Thanks. We'll see you again soon.